All right, we're going to take a look at multiplying and dividing decimals. Now, the last video in this playlist dealt with adding and subtracting. And if you'll remember, the main point for adding and subtracting decimals is to line up the decimal. Well, you'll notice as you even look at these first two examples, I have not lined up the decimal. So in multiplying and dividing decimals, we are not supposed to line up the decimal. So let's go ahead and get started. This is just regular old multiplication. So I'm just going to go ahead and begin. I do want to mention that if you don't see a decimal in a number, I want to remind you that it's always at the end. So I'm going to add that decimal at the end of the 7 because later it's going to, in a few minutes, it's going to make a difference because we need to know where to put the decimal in our answer. And that affects that. So let's go ahead and start. 7 times 8 is 56, carry your 5. 7 times 6, 6 times 7 is 42, plus 5 is 47, carry your 4. 7 eighths are 56, plus 4 is 60. Now, where do we put the decimal in the answer? That's the next question. What I do is I look at this line of numbers here, the 7, and I count how many digits are to the right of the decimal. Okay? Well, there are no digits to the right of the decimal. I look up here and I count how many digits to the right of the decimal up here. Well, there are 2. So 0 and 2, and I'm going to add that together and I get 2. That's how many digits need to be to the right of the decimal in my answer. 2 digits. So I place the decimal between the 0 and the 7 so that I have 2 digits to the right of the decimal. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. 1 times 1, 1 times 5, 1 times 0, 0, and 3. All right, I'm going to put a placeholder here so that I can multiply by the tens place, which is the 8. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry your 4. 8 times 0 is nothing, plus the 4. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 3 is 24. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add. And again, I'm not worrying about the decimal just yet. 13 goes there. 4, 3, 4, and 2. Now, let's go ahead and put the decimal in the 81. There it is. I'm going to look up here. I have 2 digits to the right, 0 digits to the right. Once again, I have 2 digits to the right, and I'm going to put 2 digits to the right of my decimal down in my answer. Okay? And because this number on the left side of the decimal is more than 3 digits, I'm going to put a comma so that I know where the thousands, the thousands period starts. And so we have 24,341 and 31 hundredths. Now, you notice that I stressed the word and. When you see a decimal, that's when you say the word and. So to properly say these numbers, we're not ever supposed to say the word and unless we see a decimal. So this is 60 and 76 hundredths. This is 24,341 and 31 hundredths. So many times you see people saying, this number is 341. Well, it's actually 341. No word and. All right. I think I have one more multiplication. So I wanted to come down here to number 6. Whoops, come back here. And I wanted to show you, remind you about if you're setting up your own multiplication, you want to put not the smaller digit, right? Because the smaller number, that's the smaller number. You want to put the one with fewer digits. So this one has 3 digits, this one has 2. So I'm going to set it up like that. All right? So now, again, I'll go ahead and mark the decimal on the 10 because I don't see it, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply. So 0 times everything, I'm just going to go ahead for you visual learners who need to see the spacing. I'm going to put the 0 down everywhere. That's the 0 times everything. Now, here's my placeholder for the tens place to be put in position. Here we go. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. Add them up. Now, how many digits to the right? 3. How many digits to the right here? 0. So I'm going to make sure that I have 3 digits to the right in my answer. So this number is actually 0 and 70 thousandths. That's that number. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some division and we'll be through. When I'm dividing, when I see it written horizontally like this, I know that this number here is the one that's being divided, and this right here is called the divisor. So this could also be written this way. Okay, the dividend is at the top and the divisor is at the bottom. The dividend goes in the what I call the box or the house or whatever. So there's me setting this up properly. And now the divisor is what is going to do the dividing. I'm going to divide it into 8 parts. Okay, now interestingly enough, this is a whole number, and I'm not ever allowed to divide by anything but a whole number. So, hold on a minute, excuse me. Okay, that was strange, but we're going to continue. I'm not ever allowed to divide by anything but a whole number. So I'll show you what to do in the next problem when we don't have a whole number there. Or actually, the next one won't be that. We'll take a look at it. Here we go. When I divide, I'm going to make sure that the outside number is not a whole number. Once I make sure of that, then I'm going to take the decimal in my number inside the little house, and I'm going to move the decimal up into the quotient, to the answer. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to say 8, and I'm going to try to fit it into the first digit. This is just regular old division, right? 8 goes into 9 once. I'm going to see how close I got by subtracting, and I got pretty close. Now I'm going to bring down the 4. 8 goes into 14, only one time. So there's 8, there's 6. Now I'm ignoring the decimal. You notice I'm just moving right past it, ignoring that decimal. That's what you're supposed to do in dividing with decimals. Ignore it. So until we're finished. 8 goes into 60. 7 eighths are 56. And that's a 4. Again, I'm ignoring the decimal. And then 6 times 8 is 48. So there's that. Okay, so it ends up with 0 remainder, or 0 thousandths actually. There's 7 tenths, 6 hundredths, and 0 thousandths. Now, this is the quotient, 11 and 76 hundredths. All right, so 11 and 76 hundredths. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So you're looking at that and going, hey, 1 divided by 2, well, that's just written like this, and I already know that, right? That's 0.5, but let's go ahead and set it up. The first one is being divided. It's the dividend. The second one is the divisor, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to fit 2 into 1, and we see it obviously doesn't fit. So I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. So now 2 does fit into 10. So what I've done is I've just disguised the 1 to look like a 10, even though it's not a 10. So now I'm going to bring the decimal into the answer, into the quotient, and I'm going to go ahead and start dividing. So 2 tries to fit into 1, it won't, so I have to make it go into 2 digits. So 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10, and I got spot on. So again, that's why it's equal to 0.5. Well, technically it's 0 and 5 tenths, but 5 tenths is how to say that properly. Okay, let's take a look at number 5, and we're finished. So 23 is being divided by 100. Now, after this, I'm going to show you the really quick and easy way to divide and multiply by multiples of 10. But we see that 100 is not going to fit into 23, so we're going to make 23 look larger, even though it won't be larger. Now, we're going to take 100, and does it fit into 230? Yes, it does. So we're ready to start dividing. I'm going to bring my decimal into the quotient place, and then I'm going to go ahead and start. 100 into 230 goes 2 times. I put it over the last digit. We know that, the last digit into which I divided. Okay, there's 30 left over. Now, I'm out of zeros, but I'm going to keep on adding them, right? I'm just going to add another one so that I can bring it down. And I'm going to keep going. 100 goes into 300 3 times. So my answer is 0.23 or 23 hundredths. Now, the way that we could do that more quickly is to remember that when you're dividing by a multiple of 10, right, this is 10 squared, that 2 right there basically tells me how many places I need to jump to bounce the decimal to the left. 1, 2. So there it is. And then if you take a look down here, this right here is just 10 to the first power, and since it's times, right, 10 to the first power, I'm going to just move the decimal to the right, which is making it larger. And so again, it's 7 hundredths. Okay, hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.